Trap game or Thursday games are hard.
Well, I think late in the season, style points, Thursday night games, you might just be able to argue in general. Like people, and I was guilty, like nitpicking the Eagles last week. Who gives a shit? Just win the game, move on. Right? The Niners have kind of established themselves for this first 2 weeks. If it's tied at half and they win 24-17, doesn't matter. Just win this game, and then you get that mini bye. Like I think they've done enough through the first 2 weeks that the judgment on this game is much more just about the result and the health of the team than it is like, oh, how about those play calls? And it's like these guys are probably working. I call this the Adderall week for coaches. I mean, I can't imagine what's the average coordinator sleeping on Monday, Tuesday of the Thursday night game. 3, 4, 5 hours max. I mean, can't be much.
Yeah, you're not getting 6 because 6 is probably like what you get in the summer, right?
Probably an advantage for Dayball and those guys that they just busted their hotel and probably started working immediately. Where, I mean, Kyle had to get on a plane. There's like you're just losing a little time, busting into the plane, landing, getting in your car. I'm guessing go right to the office. Probably not the place you like going when you land after a victory. Like, I'm going to the office. I mean, that sucks. But that's kind of what you have to do. And, I think part of it is just you get that win. Listen, Sherman, like Richard, he was very anti the Thursday night games. Now he works for Thursday Night Football. As a lot of players, he's not alone. A lot of people crush the NFL for the Thursday night games, though the players get richer with the Thursday night games. The Kelsey brothers, and mainly Jason Kelsey, he's like anyone who hates on it, it's bullshit because – that week, if you win, it feels like pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. You get a huge advantage going into your next game. You get to rest. I do think the timing of your Thursday game matters a lot, right? Like the Eagles and the Niners is a pretty big benefit to play the game, though I think, did the Niners have another Thursday night game late in the season, if I remember correctly?
Niners play...
Maybe it's the Steelers, two Thursday night games?
Steelers do play a Thursday night game against the Patriots in December, yeah.
So there are teams with multiple Thursday night games. That sucks. The Cowboys, I think, too. But, yeah, the Niners play Thursday. They play Thanksgiving.
They play Thanksgiving. I'm sorry. That it? Yes, they do have 2 Thursdays. Thank you. I got my color-coded systems fucked up over here. It's supposed to be red. It's blue. I don't know. Yeah, so they play that Thursday against the Seahawks. And then they go to the Eagles the next week. So extra time, but yeah, weird back-to-back, both road games.
Well, I think this is the problem with the NFL. My knock on Thursday Night Football, like, listen, it's just part of the sport. Everyone gets richer because of it. It's more that my guy Al shot and Herbie feels like he doesn't totally want to be there. I think the broadcast is pretty terrible. Right? I think if you could get a way to get people that felt big, like Buck and Aikman now make Monday Night Football feel really, really huge. It feels bigger than, like, I think that game with the Crew of a couple years ago would not have been a good game. And honestly, the game was kind of weird. You had injuries all the time. But those guys elevated the brand again.
They did. Pittsburgh felt big. Stapleton
say what you want about
to the fireworks. And then Buck. The whole thing was just, it got me going the second I turned it on. It felt different than the other game, which was the other Panthers Saints on turf.
They play on turf?
Carolina now plays on turf. You didn't notice that?
No. That's kind of great.
Makes no sense. I don't know.
Do you know we got a doubleheader next week again?
Yeah, although that one's better, I think. Next week it's reversed. The ABC game with Buck and Aikman is the early game.
Oh, that makes sense. Because I was like, God, they're just doing the Eagles on a throwaway first game. What are they doing here? Tampa's undefeated?
Philly-Tampa is the first game next time, and then Rams-Cincinnati is the number 2 game.
That's smart. So this, to me, like, I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent this week because I just think the Niners are going to win. I'm not, my expectations of, like, we nitpicked the first 2 weeks, and rightfully so. I mean, there wasn't anything to nitpick week 1 when they beat the shit out of the Steelers. But last week, Wilkes like, what's going on? Early on, I know Kyle's defended Purdy relative to his previous games. Yep. I think it's fair to say it was a little off. Listen, you miss some throws in this game. You miss some tackles. Like, it's very understandable. Just win the game and move on.
Yeah, I'm with you. To me, it's not trap game. It's just turning around to play a football game right after you just played a football game with basically no off days, right? Which is essentially what it is pretty crazy. Like today for the Niners, Tuesday is Friday, and that's pretty nuts. The thing that I watched Bosa's post game on Sunday, and they asked him, "How you feeling?" And he said, I think I got better from the first game. And he said, but I need to get better again this week. And then he said, but it's going to be hard because we play on Thursday. And I thought it was a really big piece of insight into Bosa of like how specifically he practices every week, how he does get himself better every week. There are things he's working on every week. And he basically said this week, you don't really have that much time to get ready. So you can't get.
Well, let's face it about him specifically. Like he's in the category of Parsons, of TJ. Those guys look remarkable, and he just doesn't, and which is understandable. He showed up fucking week 1 of the season, right?
So TJ Watt we've watched him now 2 weeks in a row. It's just been unbelievable.
I would say TJ Watt and Micah Parsons look shot out of a rocket every single play. And Nick feels like he's feeling his way out, and he admitted as such, like, I'm getting my football legs under me, which as long as you win, it's not a problem.
That's right. If they were 1-1, the contract would be they'd be all parties would be to blame potentially for the fact that they were 1-1.
Big time. Because I thought his best rush of the season came like late in that game against the Rams when he hit Stafford. Right? But he doesn't feel like the same presence when you just throw on Micah Parsons or TJ Watt, though he has to be that for them if they're going to win the Super Bowl. And now it's just hoping that he gets back into form, right? And luckily this week, the thing about this week is the Cowboys overwhelmed the Giants up front week 1, overwhelmed them. And the Niners, in theory, should be able to do the same, right? Starting with Nick, Hargrave, all the other rotational guys. Kinlaw's been making some plays. Eric Armstead. Should be a big moment, for that unit, which I would say over the Kyle Shanahan era, when the 49ers have overwhelmed an offensive line, they have demoralized people on national TV for sure when they've played these primetime games. And a lot of them have had the Rams that stick out to me where they just overwhelm the line.
This is a little different week because you are playing a running quarterback. Right? Daniel Jones is a running quarterback.
He's a good athlete.
He's a zone read quarterback. And that's not always been through several coordinators the strength of this defense. And they have not played zone read quarterbacks the first 2 weeks. They've played pocket quarterbacks the first 2 weeks. And they really don't have any time to prepare. They don't have much time to prepare for Daniel Jones, who is a running quarterback. I do think that makes this week a little unique. I know we don't look at the Giants like they're anything special. Brian Daboll said today that Saquon, he's not willing to rule him out yet. But your boy Jordan Renan, I'm reading a tweet here, said, have heard this every time Saquon has hurt his ankle, that he's a magic healer. Here's what I'm saying. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, shame on all of us. Barkley is human. He struggled each time he's come back. So maybe Daboll's just trying to throw a wrench in the Niners' preparation, but he's not ruling him out. And Jordan's saying, hey, guys, I cover this team. Please.
Well, you know who their backup running back is?
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Former Niner.
Matt Breida?
Yeah. Like, to me, Matt Breida has at most 35 yards in his bag against the 49ers over 4 quarters. Like that, I'm sorry. Saquon and Daniel Jones could, like, Thursday Night Football, put the Niners in some weird spots. Maybe they get 14 points off some, over the course of a game off some weird plays. Just zone read, swing pass to Saquon, whatever. I think him being out is a really big deal. Like, listen, you can nitpick running backs, paying them or whatever. Saquon is a very, very electric player, and the drop-off to Matt Breida against this defense, like, he ain't the matchup. Like, that's not the guy. Now, they unleashed when they were just getting mollywopped, and it felt like, is this Giants team headed for a 5-win season or something? They're going to get blown out by Arizona and then be what's the spread going to be if they lose this game 30-0, right? Are they going to be like a 12-point underdog? They unleashed that Hyatt, the wide receiver from Tennessee who could fly, who was, I think, tracked in preseason as like the fastest guy in the NFL. He made some big plays in that game, kind of sparked him. Darren Waller is going to be a matchup problem, but I think that not having Saquon limits what you have to really worry about, because I just don't think you're like losing sleep if Britt is starting the game for them. Or Saquon, you would have to keep Fred or Greenlaw kind of chasing him around the whole time.
Yeah,
right?
Especially with him if he is running with Daniel Jones. Right? We'll take Daniel Jones's run away, and if you want to pitch it to Matt Breida, go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing is, one thing that can beat the 49ers, Pickett could not, Stafford was, is like clearly, guys, if you can just sling it around, that's not really DJ's deal.
Quarterbacking, no.
Yeah, I mean, he had a career year last year, 15 touchdowns.
No.
I kind of liked him. I thought he had an Alex-like jump. Second half this is the Cardinals, but he looked solid.
So our boy on the chat here, Hung Fat, says Niners plus 10, too big to lock in.
I think early in the season, what was the year when we did the lock of the week and we just hammered and it got boring?
It was,
but there was
21. Was it 21?
It was like the Giants or the Jets, though. I think it was might have been 2020, and it worked.
It was a COVID year?
I don't think might have. We bet on one of the shittiest teams.
Yeah, I know.
The Giants and the Jets
we had a run.
had to be up there
because
I think it was a lot of Giants Jets.
Yeah,
I think we just bet against the Giants and the Jets like every week, and their spreads were huge early in the season. Look at the Arizona Cardinals; are a good example. Like they're covering spreads right now. I think it's much more difficult this season. 10 points to me. I would probably stay away from me.
I wouldn't. I just because it's Thursday Night Football. Now, if you wake up and the Niners won, 31-14, I guess I'd believe that. They have that in the bag all the time.